Hi guys, this is another video from Trench Raider. This video is part of a new mini-series that I've thought about quite a lot recently, and I wanted to bring the idea and content to you as fans and followers of the Battlefield franchise. Now, as we all know, the latest version of this franchise focuses on World War II. How much accuracy is aligned to this, I'm not entirely sure, but maybe as the DLCs roll out, we'll get a better picture in terms of the locations and stories that they decide to share within the game. It's still quite loose in places, in my opinion. This idea I had was to share a mini-series that covers some of the weaponry in Battlefield 5, like a fact file for each gun that's covered, if you like. I don't know about you, but one thing I really enjoyed in Battlefield 1 was the sense of homage it portrayed to the war and the whole atmosphere around it. For me, the game felt quite grand and at scale at times. And there was information that was shared in things like ground operations, for example, that depicted the significance of certain battles, whether they were won or lost, what the implication were around those results. And I actually really enjoyed that. I really liked that. It was like a little taste of history, not too much, but just enough to sort of give you some insight and make you want to learn more. This time around, I personally don't feel that it quite represents that grand scale of war as well. I know early days, the game's not been out long and we haven't really had a DLC yet. There's one that should be with us shortly. I personally feel that there's a bit of information that's actually missing in the game. It's lacking in places. As another example, there is no information about the guns, whether they were actually German or Allied, or Czechoslovakian, Italian, and I know at the moment it's predominantly the Axis forces against the British, but there's no background on them, and I think that's missing. It's something that we had in Battlefield 1, and I thought it was a nice touch myself, and in a way it's a bit bizarre that stuff like this hasn't actually been included in Battlefield 5, but so back to the purpose of this video. I thought I'd try and fill that gap in terms of information. I spent quite a bit of time researching to ensure the details are accurate, and what I've done is summarised them for the purpose of this video. So within this video, you probably already noticed through the thumbnail and description that the first one is around the STEN Gun. So let's get stuck in. The STEN Gun is a model of submachine gun. It was used and manufactured by the British starting in World War II, firing a 9mm bullet with a side-mounted magazine. They're mostly known for simplicity and incredibly low production cost and high effectiveness. In the game, I find that you have to be quite mindful of map and game mode actually that you're playing, as its suitability and effectiveness comes into question. Even in something like Team Deathmatch, if the map has a lot of open spaces, you can quite easily get caught out. Its rate of fire isn't the best, and its medium to long range effectiveness is also quite weak. That said, it can be quite effective in closer range combat and short to medium range with the use of burst fire. It has reasonable accuracy. I'd say as you move to medium range and then onto longer ranges, you'll notice the bullets spread quite significantly. It is an SMG after all. It has a fire rate of 540 bullets per minute, doesn't actually offer a single rate of fire mode, and has a magazine clip capacity of 32 bullets, which isn't actually that bad, and it's one thing that makes up for its damage. Okay, so there's actually a ton of history and information associated with this gun. It's really quite interesting. In 1940, following the evacuation of more than 330,000 British and French forces from the Battle of Dunkirk, as well as Britain's loss of 60,000 soldiers and hundreds of thousands of military rifles, the STEN was put into place to replace lost and abandoned weapons. It was also there to increase military might, but also to keep up with the need of a submachine gun that the Thompson of the United States couldn't actually meet with the World War II demands at that point. And as the US entered the war in 1941, the Thompson submachine gun barely kept up with US requirements, let alone British. And there within, as you start researching weapons and buildings, technologies and tactics even, I find it completely fascinating to learn that the speed and level of technology that was actually developed leading up to and during the war in such a short amount of time. The amount of things that were developed is really quite staggering. The British arms factory based in the borough of Enfield, London, met this demand with the invention of the STEN gun. It was invented by Major Reginald Shepherd and Harold Turpin of the Royal Small Arms Factory, and it's their last names, S for Shepherd, T for Turpin, adding to the EN for Enfield, which is where it was actually manufactured. This is where the STEN gun got its name. The STEN gun's success comes from its simplicity, using stamped and pressed metal, minor welding and minimal machining by the time the Mark III came out. An interesting fact for you, it was Lind Brothers, who was a children's toy manufacturer. They used to make model trains and model cars during and before the war. They were asked manufacturing the STEN gun, and they were actually responsible for a lot of the simplification that took place in the design of the STEN gun. It took only 5 hours and 47 different parts to complete. It wasn't without its challenges. Originally, it was fraught with manufacturing issues, and some say it was actually over-engineered. It was only by Mark III that it became radically simplified and more consistent to manufacture. Early variants, especially those not manufactured in Enfield, had major malfunctions, and the gun would jam an awful lot. Of those malfunctions, the most notable was the assassination of SS officer Reinhard Heydrich, who is known for orchestrating the Holocaust. Films during the years, most recently Anthropoid. Anthropoid came out in 2016. It's a really good film, and it does feature the STEN gun. On May the 27th, 1942, Czechoslovakian and exiled soldier Joseph Gaelic, operating for the British in Operation Anthropoid, fired a STEN gun that was provided by the British, point blank at Heydrich, only to have a misfire. His fellow soldier, Jan Kubis, quickly threw a grenade, which ultimately ended the life of Heydrich through an infection from shrapnel. Thousands of STEN guns were commonly dropped from aircraft in unoccupied Europe. Their simplicity and devastating effects made them very effective for resistant fighters in Europe. These fighters became so good at fixing and replacing broken parts on the field with the STEN gun that throughout the war, it's said that up to 2,000 STEN guns were actually produced in the field using homemade parts. Another interesting fact, over 35 variants of the STEN gun have been produced, not including the 2,000 that were homemade. Some 4 million of them were made during World War II, which is just ridiculous. 4 million guns of just this model during the war. Over 50 countries have used the STEN gun for their military operations. All of Europe and Asia, as well as the United States, have used the STEN gun throughout different wars. The United States ended up using suppressed STENs during Vietnam. The gun went on to feature quite instrumentally in a lot of other wars and conflicts, right up until the 90s in some places. Being lightweight and quick to build and cheap to manufacture, it was of interest in many countries. To conclude the video then, the STEN gun was very significant and definitely helped turn the tides, I had to get that in there, for the Allies against the Nazi regime, who by the time the STEN was actually manufactured, had already taken Paris and France. So that concludes the video. I hope you all found this both interesting and entertaining, and I hope you learned a bit more information that I feel personally is maybe lacking a little bit right now within the game of Battlefield 5. So that's it guys, history lesson is over, and what I'll do now is let you enjoy some gameplay featuring the STEN gun.
Chucking a bomb! I'm hit!
Befreit sie! Sturmangriff!
Bleeding machine gunner spotted over there!
If you've enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit the like button, press subscribe to watch the next one when that comes out, and thanks for watching.